We're live on YouTube. Welcome. The way of the heart. The true essence of all wisdom, tradition, spirituality, the very center of all teaching is living from the heart. Before I get into this discussion today that I want to have with you, why don't you let me know where you are joining me from? I want to hear your name, where you're from. I love connecting with you. I love this to be a connected gathering where you can share ideas, where you can ask questions about the teaching. And so although this will be a form of teaching today, it will be interactive because you're welcome to join me, and you haven't stumbled on this live feed by accident, by the way. I don't believe in accidents. I think everything is divinely orchestrated. And so if you're seeing me, if you're hearing me, you are meant to be hearing this at this moment. It's either going to be live or it's going to be replayed. Hello, Soren. Welcome to you. It's perfect. I've recently improved my sound, which is a huge win, because in past broadcasts, the sound was either too high or too low, and I've been able to perfect it. So I'm very happy about that, as sound is the most important aspect of this communication. And welcome to Aaron, who is our moderator and will be moderating this chat today. So if I can't get to one of your questions, Aaron will. So welcome to Aaron. Send him some love in the chat there. And please engage, like, subscribe if you aren't already, to get more of these updates when they become available, when I go live. My intention is to create a lot more of these. Someone says more power and love. Have a beautiful day ahead. Loving to seeing the love, and I can see some four-leaf clovers. Are you joining us from beautiful Ireland? Place I find close to my heart, as I've been there before. And of course, I'm talking about the heart, the way of the heart. It's the very essence of the teachings of the great masters, from Jesus to Buddha to my heroes and teachers, Dolores Cannon, Wayne Dyer. They spoke about the heart and living from the heart. Now, the world we occupy isn't predominantly living from the heart. They're living from the head, the mind, the analytical aspect, the egoic identification, self-service, service to self. And it's a survival mechanism. We all fall into that trap, don't we, as we get conditioned by society, is that we've got to put ourselves first, our needs, what we need. And yet we forget to live from the heart. When we truly live from the heart, we discover the path of service. And when you discover the path of service, not only do you serve your loved ones, your community, the world, but ultimately you're really serving yourself, because the essence of serving others is to serve thyself. Jesus said, do unto others as they would do, as you would do unto yourself. And that is the essence of that teaching. I've discovered recently a book that is a channeling of Jesus called The Way of the Master. It's a series called The Way of the Heart, the Christ Trilogy. It's volume 1, and it's all about living from the heart. It's the true essence of the teachings of Jesus. Of course, those that grew up with organized Christianity will know much of the original meaning of the teachings was hijacked. It's a strong word, that, hijacked. But it was used for control. It was about taking one's control away and giving it to authority, giving it to a priest or a priest class. And the vast majority of worshippers, of fellowshippers, were down the bottom of the structure of the pyramid, and they were largely disempowered. This age we call in astrology was the age of Aquarius. No, it wasn't. It was the age of Pisces. The age of Pisces was about domination, control, about hierarchy, about a structure that was very old. These aspects of astrology go on for about 2,000 years. In 2012, we had a marking on the zodiac calendar of a new age. You heard that before, the dawning of a new age, the age of Aquarius, the age of enlightenment, the age where truth is revealed, the age when the power began to slip out of the hands of the few into the hands of the many. What have we seen with the internet, with social media? We've seen a huge dethroning of the legacy media. We've seen that power redistributed into the hands of the many, and now we have platforms like X, where we can openly share our thoughts, our ideas, our views, and have wide reach. And sure, even that in its infinity was more open, and then it got controlled and we had censorship. We were called misinformation propagandists and disinformation sharers. And yet now we are moving with such a momentum that even that is falling away, and we even recently are able to share more truth, more of our ideas, more of our perspective. There isn't a group, a government, a organization, a power structure that can stop what is coming. This is an inevitable aspect of our development as a species. Dolores Cannon wrote a lot about it in her books, from Conversations with Nostradamus to The Three Waves of Volunteers and the New Earth, to spoke about a new earth, a new reality, a dawning of a new age, being the age of Aquarius, where the power shifts. The arising consciousness is shifting from the mind, the competitiveness, the division, the wars, the separateness, the duality. And the energy is shifting back to the heart, the realization of the one true consciousness, the one true force that is pervasive through every single life form. That is the real you, your true essence, who you are beyond the identification of your physical form. Say, I am divine. Some of you will have never ever said that. In fact, if we said that hundreds of years ago, as many of you that have had past life regressions might recall, you would have been accused of witchcraft. You would have been accused of blasphemy. It's blasphemous to call yourself divine. In fact, we were taught to worship. We were taught to worship idols. We were taught to worship gods. We were taught to worship Christ. And when Christ spoke of worship, he was speaking of something very different to bowing down and raising one's hands. He was talking about to really bow down in service, to bow down in service to humanity, to not bow down and worship an idol or idols. Remember the story of Noah when the earth was flooded because the world had become obsessed with idolization, worshipping of idols, bowing the knee to the golden calf. And we needed a cleansing. We needed a reset. Who knows about the shift? What do you think the shift is about? Like the days of Noah, the violence, the negativity. Yeah, you're right, Soren. Christ spoke about love and its true meaning. And what does it mean to live from a place of love? It means that we prioritize not all of the trappings of the ego, which is more. And who's had more? And who's found that when they have more, they feel they have less? True meaning, true worth cannot be bought. It can only be remembered. And nothing I speak of is new information. It's more of a reminding of what we tend to forget. You see, when we incarnate, we forget who we are. We forget we're divine. We forget our contracts. We forget our calling. And then we have a awakening experience. For most of us, that is a gradual one. It's not an instantaneous awakening. Very rarely do people have those satori moments of profound awakening in a moment they see very clearly. But for most of us, it's gradual. It's a breaking open, and over time, light is either exposed to us or begins to shine from us, and from that shining we begin to see the light. It illuminates around us. Dolores Cannon said when we would walk publicly in a space, people would sense that eminence of light. So you are the light itself. You don't need to seek the light. You are the light, and when you identify with who you are, when you are able to look in the mirror and see your divinity, to see not the form, the imperfections. For those that are old enough, the wrinkles, the aging effect, which we often berate and criticize. But to look at ourselves as we look to nature with a reverence and wonder and splendor at the majesty. When we look to the mountains, we see the majesty, and yet ancient, millions of years old. We find ourselves criticizing the 30-year-old body, the 40, the 50 and beyond body. When I was early 20s, I was even criticizing that young form for not being good enough, adequate enough, worthy enough. Is this resonating with you? Give me a like in the comments, in the menu there at the bottom of the video, that it's resonating. It's not a new teaching. In fact, it can be found in every wisdom tradition, from the teachings of Christ, the true teachings of Christ, to Zoroastrianism, to Hinduism, to Buddhism, to Judaism. Through all of the ancient wisdom traditions speak about living from the heart, living from truth. We are eternal spiritual beings. Welcome, Robin from New York. Great to see you. Join us. That are having this individual human experience. We're animating the form we are having right now. This is a part you are playing. It's a costume that you're wearing, playing out this role, this part. And when you transition, you will discard this role and part. What was it that Shakespeare said? When you leave the stage, your part is done, complete. You have your entrance, you have your exit. Your higher self knows when you're going to enter and when you're going to exit. I used to fear death. Who used to fear death? What is there to fear if we divinely orchestrated all of it? There's nothing really to fear, than fear itself, if we know that we're writing the script. We've preordained our exit point. So really, why are we fearing annihilation through perhaps what others are doing or might do? Or that's a part of the program, isn't it? It's part of the fear-based narrative that we buy into, is that others have power over us. And yet it is only our belief that we don't have the power that we give away our power. Terry says divinity is the ability to transcend the human limitations. Yes. When you step into who you really are, not only do you see the divine operating, animating, working through you, you start to fulfill some of the prophecy and teachings of Jesus, which is, greater things shall thy do than I. It's the quantum field. It's the realm of all potentiality. It's where nothing is impossible. It's where nothing is missing and nothing is broken. Where miracles become commonplace. Where perceived limitations fall away. Let me tell you a little story. Recently, got back from the beautiful island of Maui. Maui was always on my bucket list of places to go. And last year in August, I was flying through Hawaii back from the United States to Australia, where I live. Seemingly returning from a trip that I didn't know why I was sent to. I won't go into the full details of all of the things on that trip, but the only thing really to speak of is that on my return to Australia, I've received an intuitive message, is to go to Maui and to run a workshop. And it was so clear to me when I got that message. It was so clear within my consciousness. Let me turn off my phone because I sense I'll get a call and it will disrupt. I forgot to put it on aeroplane mode. We had a powerful time in Maui. Now, my intention was to give and serve through the way of the heart, what I'm talking about here, in Maui. Guess what happens when we serve and give and that's our intention? Who knows what happens when we do that? Let me know in the chat there. I know what Aaron thinks because Aaron was there with me sharing the experience. When we give, what we give out, what? Returns back to us. What you sow, you receive. I didn't even think about receiving, really. I was there to do and facilitate the workshop. My intention was I wanted to make it that it was going to serve the community, to help the people that were devastated by the fires. And guess what happened? I was profoundly blessed. I was profoundly healed by the land herself, as well as the energy of the powerful healers that I worked with. You know what my blessing was? And I can talk about the profound physical manifestations, and there were many. But let me tell you about the most powerful takeaway for me. I always identified with being really shy and introspective. I used to fear what others thought about me. I didn't like the way I sounded. I didn't like the way I looked. I didn't like my accent. I was in a very self-critical mindset. So for the majority of my 40 plus years of life, I was very shy and introspective and introverted, and would rarely share. Occasionally I would muster up the courage to do a live stream like this, or do some video content, and then I would revert back into the shyness of my personality, what I called my personality. In a powerful healing session in Maui, I dropped finally, after 40 plus years, the shy identification, the fear of talking to strangers, the fear of speaking out, the fear of being heard and seen. And ever since I've returned, that fear is not there anymore. Not everybody is going to like me. Not everybody is going to like this video, watch this video, be interested in this video. But even if I was in the old mindset, that would still be the case. Not everybody would like it. Those that resonate would resonate with it, and then those that didn't wouldn't. So the facts are the same, and yet my energy has grown, re-identified and expanded, because it doesn't matter. I'm going to be loved or hated. That is out of our control. People will love and people will dislike and not resonate, regardless of what you look like, how old you are, what skin color you have, what nationality you are, what accent you have. None of that matters. From the celebrities that we tend to, I don't, but some will, give power to, reverence, to political leaders or leaders in the community, or the popular people that we tend to get in groups with. And when you cease to identify with any of it, and you just are embodying your own authenticity, then nothing else matters. Then everything falls away. And then you don't have to apologize for any of it. You just have to be authentic. It's the only call that you ever really have, is to be you. Oscar Wilde once said, "Be yourself, everybody else is already taken." It's Such a profound quote by a great man that tapped into a universal truth. Why are we being inauthentic? Why have we been inauthentic? It's generally because we fear not fitting in. We fear that in the past we've been ostracized, we've been rejected. Really, what we're upset is not that we're being rejected by others. It's that we are agreeing and identifying with them, and we are giving away our power. And that is where the pain comes from, not from what another thinks. It doesn't really matter what another thinks of you, whether they love you and they praise you, or they idolize you. So many people in the spiritual community want to be idolized, want to be stars, want to be rock stars, want big profiles. And really, what we've been called here to do as light beings, as individual aspects of the divine, is to do what Jesus did, and that is to serve humanity. It's the way of the heart. It's the way of servanthood. I don't give to get. I give because it's my very nature. And boy, is that so much more rewarding. If you're suffering, if you have pain in your life, if you are lonely, you know what the answer is? Service, giving. When you give, what the universe does is it seemingly miraculously mirrors back to you the very thing that you're admitting into the frequency. This is how the law of attraction works. What you give out comes back to you. If you're giving out a vibration of unworthiness and not enough and I'm not good enough and I've got to improve and I don't have what it takes, then the universe will mirror all of that back to you. You will just get more and more of that showing up in your experience in different ways. When you know you're enough and you are fulfilling what your soul's purpose is, your divine calling, why you're specifically here, what your individual contribution is, that is enough. It doesn't matter if 10 people are following like they are now, or 100,000 or 10. They're just numbers. Really, it's how this seed is planted, and then on the other end, once the seed is planted, how it's nurtured, and if it grows or if it doesn't. That's what we did in Maui. We planted seeds into the ground, into people's lives. We saw people wake up. We saw people heal. We saw people overcome adversity and trauma that they had undergone in their journeys. And it was very rewarding. As Jesus said, it's not I that do the work, but the Father through me. What was he saying? To paraphrase that, it's not me, it's the divinity that operates through me. And greater things shall they do than I do. What he was pointing to is that the same divinity operates in me, that operates in you, that operated in him, that comes from the one source. And when I was in a sacred plant yoga ceremony in Maui, the intuition came to me that the most sacred number in all of numerology is the number 1. This is the original information that I said I would share at the end of this video at the beginning. Because 1 represents the oneness that is pervasive throughout not just this physical reality, but throughout the entire cosmos. 1 consciousness, 1 energy, 1 love. Everything is energy. You are energy. Everything is just an individual expression of 1. That's why Dolores Cannon said, there is no good, there is no bad. The Course of Miracles talks about this oneness as love, pure love. It says that the only thing that is real is love, and everything else is an illusion. Everything else is a shadow of that. And that's what we call evil, darkness. We are coming out of the Kali Yuga. I can't pronounce that properly. Kali Yuga, which is a very dark phase. We're coming out of the age of Pisces. We're emerging into a new age of enlightenment, the age of Aquarius, the golden age of humanity, when power is returned to the people. Power is returned to the land herself. Gaia is ascending to a higher frequency and vibration. And you're either moving with it, you're either moving with the momentum, or you're being left behind. This is what Dolores Cannon spoke about in her books. Shifting into a new earth. How many minds are there in the universe? One. Well, there is an infinite amount of expression that is ever expanding, but one universal force, and that is divinity itself, expressing itself individually throughout all of life. A mountain is an expression of divinity. An ocean is an expression of divinity. Gaia herself, this planet being in which we occupy, is an expression of divinity. Does anyone have any questions? I like answering questions. Enlightenment is often misunderstood because we often think that enlightenment is something to be obtained, and it's not. You'll never get enlightened. You'll never get healed. You'll never get saved. You'll never get well. All you can do is remember that you already are. And that remembrance will manifest that reality for you. See, if we're saying and believing that we have to get something, we believe that we're without it. And your belief in the lack will manifest your reality because you get what you think about. You get what you believe. All the world does, all reality does is reflect back to you like a mirror that in which you are. So you have to be that first. Although this sounds simplistic, you have to have the experience. You have to live it. And no, you can't read it in a book or listen to it once. You have to know that you are. What are some of the limitations that we're identifying with? Share them with me in the chat. What are we identifying with? Is it that we are not enough? That we're not beautiful? That we're not divine? That we're too old? We're too young? We're too thin? We're too fat? What is it that we're identifying with? Because that will show you what you believe about yourself. What you believe about yourself becomes true for you. Aaron asks, what identification did I drop in Maui, Paul? Well, Aaron, I point the question back to you. What did you drop? Go to your awareness. See, the answers are within us. Even when we go to another for an answer, we go to the psychic, we go to the perceived authority figure, and we're searching for the answers. We're not looking inside. And once again, the heart will reveal all to you, because it is the one infinite consciousness that's animating your physical form. When you understand that everything that you seek is within, you just start to live differently. For me, it was I dropped an identification that I did not need anymore, this shy personality, this belief that what I was communicating, how I communicated, the way I sounded was not adequate. That's what that mind was telling me. That's what that analytical aspect was telling me. And really, it wasn't true. But I made it true because I believed it, and therefore, because I believed it, it became my reality. When we believe something, we have situations, circumstances, events that will confirm to us that that is true. Inadequacy. Great. See, the answer was there, Aaron. I didn't need to tell you that. So when, Aaron, you project inadequacy, guess what returns to you? Vibrationally, everything is energy. We say, we believe, we project inadequacy. You'll have people, you'll have situations, you'll have events that will confirm to you that you are inadequate. And when they confirm it, you get a feedback loop between you and them, the person, the circumstance, the thing, that says, hey, yeah, of course I was right. See, I am inadequate because that person said it. And that's when people's words are able to affect you. When you drop that and you know you're enough, you know your worth, guess what? You can go out there unapologetically and be 100% authentic. And it doesn't matter if people criticize, you get the trolling online or whatever. I've had all that in the past. Or you're having a conversation with someone in person and they don't like you, and you can tell it vibrationally. It doesn't matter, because you don't derive an identity from what another thinks. You derive your identity from who you know you are. Oh, has it been liberating for me since I've returned from Maui, because I left in Maui something that no longer served me. When you drop something and it falls to the ground, when you release the grip, it naturally falls away, effortlessly. The issue is that we hang on to identifications, we hang on to ideas, beliefs for years, and we refuse to release our grip. And we wonder why we're stuck. We wonder why we carry these beliefs, ideas around. But to drop is to simply release the tight grip that you've been holding. What is it for you that you've been holding on to? It's inadequacy, Aaron has bravely shared. What else? Terry and Soren, what have you been identifying with in your own lives? Let me know in the chat. Or if you're watching the replay, what is it that you've been identifying with that isn't serving you? When I look into the mirror, I say this new affirmation: nothing missing, nothing broken, whole, complete, enough, divinity itself expressing itself through this vehicle called Paul Williams. So no person's going to convince me that I ain't enough, that I ain't sound enough, that I ain't good enough. I don't need to look at metrics and numbers and algorithms and all of the outer metrics anymore. I just need to look within and be that. And when you are that, you fulfill your soul's mission. None of that stuff matters, and you're living on purpose, with purpose. It was a profound time in Maui. Does anyone else? So Soren has said maybe it's inadequacy. I'm guessing that's what you meant, Soren, when you're agreeing there as same as you. What if I told you that you're already enough? What if I told you that you are divinity just like me, because we are all one? So if I'm divine, if I can get on here and call myself divine, every single one of you can say the same about you. Stop identifying with the form. Stop criticizing it. You know, I, from an analytical perspective, never felt enough when I was 20, never felt enough when I was 30, went to the gym 5 days a week, worked on my physical appearance, worked on everything else, and it still wasn't enough. And it never, ever, ever will be to the analytical mind. I don't care how much money you've got. I've worked with some of the biggest celebrities in the world. I've seen it with them. I've worked with some of the wealthiest people in the world. Aaron can vouch for that because he works with me. He knows the people I've worked with. I don't say that to brag. I say it to point to this one truth. It does not matter what you become, obtain, how beautiful, physically young you are. You will never be enough from this perspective, because you need to live from here. You need to identify with who you really are, and that is divinity. The voice of divinity, the true essence of one's being, is radiating through your heart. This is the voice of your intuition. Now, we're battling between the analytical conditioned mind that's been programmed by society, been programmed by the system. The mainstream doesn't want you to believe that you're enough, that you're divine, because it wants to take your taxes, keep you small, inadequate, afraid, so that you stay a part of the system. How it works. But thank God the system is being dismantled. Who's noticing it? Who is noticing that those that are inauthentic in power are being exposed? It's not just happening in one part of the world, it's happening throughout every culture, every religion, every group, every political structure, every power structure. It's not one savior figure. It's an arising consciousness that's manifesting and remembering who and what they truly are. And as that consciousness begins to be manifested throughout more and more of us, the momentum, the light, exposes all of the darkness. And eventually, this is what we call enlightenment, awakening, or the new earth. Some say, when are we going to see the new earth? Where is it? Where is it? Is it over there? Is it over there? No, it's in here. And when you radiate out this new consciousness, you, like Dolores Cannon said, will illuminate even the people around you, will see within you the light. They may not recognize it, they don't need to, but they will be affected by it because you are radiating and illuminating the world around you. Aaron's excited. Aaron knows the truth. Robin notices it. Soren agrees. And if you've been shy in the chat, give us a thumbs up or a hello. I'd love to hear from you and what your perspective is, because I love these conversations to be two ways. Soren, I experienced it myself, all of it. Great, wonderful. Christ really is a consciousness. He didn't come here to be worshipped. He didn't come here to serve humanity, to then sit up on a crown and be bowed down to and worshipped as an idol. And for the last 2,000 years, we've tended to do that. We've personified him. We've called God a male and personified God. But God is much more beyond any physical attribute. Yes, God does embody the yang energy, the male energy, the yin energy, the female energy, and all energy. I think the best name for God is divinity. And synonymous with that is love, pure love, heart. Love thy neighbor as thyself. There's two profound statements there. First is to love others, but it's also saying to love yourself. How many of us don't love ourselves because we're too busy putting ourselves down, feeling inadequate? I can't get my 40-something years back, but I can make the next 40 years very different. Very, very different. And it doesn't matter if 3 people see this video or 5 people see this video or 100 or whatever. It doesn't really matter, because what matters is that I made it, I'm creating it, and I know that if it's authentic and it's coming from a place of divinity, which is that force that's in everything, it's just perfect. And you can do the same, whatever your call is, whatever your specific contribution is. Is it reaching 5 people? Is it helping 2 people? Is it helping one loved one? Is it helping, like I've got little Louis down here, he's somewhere around the corner. It's loving Louis. It's loving those people in my life. It's loving you in this broadcast by sharing truth with you. That's the goal. Now, I don't see the full picture yet for all of you or all of me, but we don't need to. We just need to see what is before us. Be in the moment. Give your all. Give your heart now. And just watch where that takes you. I'm just reading some of the comments. And Jesus did, Soren, talk a lot about the new earth. The book of Revelations talks about, I see. The book of John on the Isle of Patmos spoke about seeing prophetically a new heaven and a new earth. This is the golden age that we've began this year, 2025. The alignment, the precession of the planets happening only in thousands of years was physical confirmation of this new golden age. There isn't a more exciting time to be alive. You have been called. You are incarnated here right now for this experience. My question to you and everybody that is watching the replay is, what is your specific contribution? What are you meant to add? Let me know in the comments. Everyone should know that. The universal question, what are you meant to do? What are you meant to contribute? Why did you incarnate at this time? Most important question you will ever have answered. I'll see you in the next broadcast. Please like and share if this resonates with you. Much love.